Hi, for me again. Um, I've had a little bit of a change of mind because I know last time we spoke and recorded the video, you were doing the first part of Hamlet, and I said we'd do Lion King today. I think from feedback from I got from people really want to finish the story of Hamlet, which I get, which I understand. So I'm going to read you today the second half of Hamlet. I'm going to finish the story, and then we'll be able to do an activity based on that. And then once we've got a really good understanding of the Hamlet story, we'll be able to make those comparisons to the Lion King, which we'll do later on. So if you remember, where we left the Hamlet story was that Hamlet had been sent into exile, which means that he was sent out, he was sent away from the kingdom, sent from Elsinore in Denmark, and he had to live in England. He thought he was going to be killed because that's what Claudius wanted to happen to him. So he's been exiled, and we're going to pick up the story now where he's just thinking, well, what is he going to do with his life now? Just before dawn broke, my life seemed to become some strange dream, for the most unlikely thing happened. I was rescued by Danish pirates. They captured the ship and murdered most of the crew, but when they discovered who I was, panic seized them. Fearing they would be hunted down by the Danish fleet, the pirates sailed back to Denmark and put me ashore at a little fishing village. There I found lodgings and wrote letters to Horatio and to my mother. I told her that I would return to Elsinore and right all the wrongs that had been done, though I did not tell her what those wrongs were. The next day I bought a horse and set off, certain that fate had returned me to Denmark to complete my revenge. There was no more doubt in my mind. Claudius was guilty, and I would make him answer for his crime. I was still some way from the castle when I was met by Horatio, who'd ridden out to find me. There was a darkness in my friend's face, and I knew he was the bearer of ill tidings, bad news. "My lord," he said, "the Lady Ophelia is dead. Claudius told her that you had killed her father, and the grief drove her so mad that she drowned herself." Tears blurred my sight. What had I done to my beloved Ophelia? In another time and place our love might have grown into happiness. "Ophelia's brother Laertes has sworn to kill you for the deaths of his father and sister," Horatio went on. "But Claudius persuaded Laertes to settle his differences with you in a fencing match, a sword fight, in front of the whole court. I have seen the king whispering to Laertes in private, and I'm sure they're plotting against you. Turn back, my lord, escape while you can to somewhere you'll be safe." "No, I must go to Elsinore," I told him. "My destiny awaits me there. We cannot escape our destinies, Horatio. We can only be ready for them. And I'm ready." And so the ghost, Claudius, the pirates and my destiny have brought me back to the torchlight and the candles of the great hall at Elsinore. Courtiers and nobles chatter idly and make wagers on the outcome of the duel. There, on the royal throne, sit my uncle and my mother. She smiles at me and looks proud. He is anxious and keeps glancing shyly at Laertes. Laertes is filled with a cold hatred that makes his eyes shine like moonlight on ice. Horatio takes my cloak and hands me a rapier, my sword. His face is pale and worried. He leans close and whispers, "Have a care, my lord. There is death in Laertes' look." I smile. Death is everywhere in the castle of Elsinore tonight, and I can feel my father's spirit hovering over me. Claudius raises his right arm. "Let the contest begin," he commands. The blades of our rapiers snick and squeal. Our shadows, made huge and menacing by the torches, flicker on the walls as we duck and dodge. Laertes is a skilled swordsman, but rage and hate have made him clumsy. He drops his guard to strike at me. I flick my wrist and the point of my rapier catches his arm. One of the marshals shouts, "A hit! First hit to Prince Hamlet!" Laertes bows, his forehead slick with sweat. "Let us take a cup of wine and catch our breath, my lord," he says. The wine cups are on a table near the throne. Laertes and I step forward towards them, and my mother suddenly snatches up one of the cups. "A toast to my beloved son!" she announces. "No!" hisses Claudius. He reaches out as if to dash the cup from my mother's lips, but it's too late. She's drunk the wine down to the dregs. So I wonder why Claudius really doesn't want his wife, who's Hamlet's mum, remember, to drink the wine that's in the glass. What could possibly be in there that might make him really not want his wife to drink it? I would think. There is just time for me to see the look of horror on Claudius's face. And then, without warning, Laertes wheels around and slashes at me with his sword. I parry the blow, realising this is no longer a contest. I'm fighting for my life. I see Laertes' eyes blind with fury. I watch his mouth twist itself into an ugly snarl. He clutches at me and tries to stab under my arm, but I catch the sword in my left hand and I wrench it from his grasp. A pain like fire burns against my palm, and my fingers are wet with blood. I step back, throw Laertes my rapier, and take his in my right hand. "En garde!" I say. We fight on, but something is wrong. Laertes looks terrified and his breath comes in sobs. The pain in my hand is fierce, throbbing up into my forearm. I've suffered from sword cuts before, but none as painful as this. Laertes lunges desperately at me, and the point of my sword scratches through his shirt. A spurt of red stains the whiteness of the linen. Laertes reels back. "We are dead men," he groans. "The king spread poison on the blade, the same poison he poured into your wine cup." I see all now. I understand the hot agony that is creeping through my left arm and across my chest. Laertes cries out, "The king is a murderer!" and crumbles to the floor. At the same time, my mother screams and topples from her throne. There's no time left. I must act quickly before the pain reaches my heart. I stagger towards Claudius and he cringes in his throne, covering his face with his hands. "Traitor!" I say, and drive the poisoned sword deep into his heart. Voices shout, people are running. I fall back and someone catches me. I think it is Horatio, but I cannot see him clearly, for a darkness is falling before my eyes, coming down like the snow falling that night on the battlements. Through the darkness, I seem to see a light, and my father's face, and everything drops away behind me. Horatio's voice whispers, "Farewell, sweet prince," and the rest is silence. There's a divinity that shapes our ends. Rough hew them how we will, is a Shakespeare quote from the end of this story. So a really powerful, tragic end to the story, really. And what I'd like us to do today is to think about if we can recall the events of the story. So our reading skill is to go through this video and the last one and see if we can remember the events and split them up into sections. So I'd like you to imagine that this was a real event that was happening now, and perhaps people would be commenting about it on social media and things like that. And I wonder if they'd be using hashtags to describe it. So there are 10 hashtags here, which are ways that kind of shortcuts for events. I'll go through them and I want you to see if you can think about what they mean for the story. So here they are. OMG, a talking ghost. Hamlet do lally. He's not that into her. Cunning plan. Claudius has been rumbled. Whoops. Revenge afoot. Double poison plan. Not going to plan. And 3 more dead. So once you've thought about those sections of the story from those hashtags, what I'd like you to do is to take a piece of plain paper and divide it into 10 sections. So 5 squares at the top, 5 at the bottom, and I want you to create a comic strip of the key events that have happened in the story. So you can use pictures, obviously, for each section, perhaps some dialogue and speech bubbles, and you might want to do a little description underneath. I'll show you a few examples of what I mean. So this first one is an example of how you could set out your comic strip with different pencil sketches and different dialogue. You might want to do the different sections like that. Alternatively, you might want to just do descriptions at the bottom, which is fine as well. So just a little picture and some descriptions like in this example here. This is quite a good one of the play being divided into 6 sections. So all you need to do is make sure you've got an extra 4 in your one. And that's it for today. Looking forward to seeing your comic strips. I know you're going to do a fantastic job on them. Tomorrow and the day after we're going to do a few different writing skills, so more specific English skills, and then we'll pick this up again to think about The Lion King and which characters are similar and different, and then we're going to really dive into the themes in both stories, which I know you're really going to enjoy. So good luck. As always, if you've got any questions, you can go to the drop-ins at 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock, or you can ask someone on Seesaw and we'll be able to help you out. Okay, thank you, bye.